Okay.
Well, good afternoon and happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I'm your host, Jon Herold. I'm pretty excited about today's show. I'm going to have a guest joining me, a Texas state rep, Nate Schatzline. I think I'm saying his last name right. Gonna just get some inside baseball on the theatrics and situation down in Texas and the redistricting and whatnot. I'm hearing rumors that there's a big announcement going on right now or something from the White House. So if I hear anything or see anything, I'll also talk about that. But real quick, before we do anything and before our guest joins us, let's get a quick word from today's sponsors. First up, we got a little Badlands merch. Badlanders, unleash your passion with Badlands Media merch. Dive into warm weather with Badlands-themed games and sporting goods from ping pong balls to golf balls, hockey pucks to frisbees, and even a Badlands pickleball set. Sip your favorite brew, whether it's coffee, hops, or whatever quenches your thirst, all while making a statement. Think rugged tumblers, sleek coffee mugs, beer steins, whiskey glasses, and more. Car accessories from vanity plates to car magnets and tech gear lets you rep Badlands everywhere you go. It's not just a t-shirt and hats. The store is bursting with bold, high-quality gear to fuel your summer vibe. Check out these Badlanders rocking their gear. Join the crew at thebadlandsmedia.tv/merch. Grab your official Badlands merch and spread the word loud and proud. Be sure to tag Badlands if you post your selfie on social media. We can say hi, and let's see how far we can reach together. That's badlandsmedia.tv/merch. We also got a quick word from our friends over at Viper Bats. Absolutely love these guys. Step up to the plate with Viper Bats, American-made precision-crafted wood bats for athletes of all ages. Viper Bats are made for players by players using hand-split maple, birch, and ash billets to ensure unmatched durability and big league quality. Founded by a father and son with a deep love for baseball, every Viper Bat reflects their player-driven passion and expertise. With tons of color options and a 45-day warranty on most bats, you can swing with confidence. Viper Bats are crafted for players, built to last, and made to love the game. Swing the best wood bats you'll ever hold. Swing Viper Bats. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/bats. Use promo code Badlands15 for 15% off non-blemished bats. That's badlandsmedia.tv/bats. Promo code Badlands15. And as I've been saying, guys, these bats, they're not just for baseball. They are your home defense system. And they even they have a customized version of this. The bats, look at that home protection system. And they got a little handheld one too that they sent me, which is awesome. This is a fish club, which I didn't even know was a thing. Apparently, once you catch a fish, you got to beat it dead or something. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, with that, I see our guest popped in the background here. So let's bring you in, Representative Nate. How do you say your last name? I was trying to figure this out before the show.
Schatzline.
Schatzline. Awesome. How you doing, man? You're pretty young to be a state rep. Good for you.
Man, one of the youngest. And so John, great to be on, man. Thank you for having me on. I am at this point, third youngest. There are actually two ladies that came in after me. One's in her 20s, and then another one is, I think, 1 year younger than me. So we're just bringing on millennial generation into the Texas legislature.
That's great, man. I'm a North Dakota boy, so I'm curious to get your perspective, though. But before I get into like what's going on, the theatrics down in Texas, because it's been a weird situation down there. What is your actual background like before you got into politics, and why did you choose to get into politics?
Yeah, so I'm a pastor. I've been a pastor for the last 12 years, and went to Bible college and played college football there. Met my beautiful wife, and we had 3 kids. And so I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And we got started early. And, my dad always told me it doesn't matter how ugly you are, you find Jesus, he'll give you a beautiful wife. And so I followed that to the T, and she's amazing. So she went into business. My wife is in real estate and is just kicking tail and taking names. And in the process, we just had this heart for the Lord, heart for ministry. And man, it was 2020. We were living in California, and Governor Gavin Mussolini jumped in and shut down every church and said that the only things that are essential are liquor stores and strip clubs. And my oldest child was about to go into kindergarten. And so, man, we just said we can't do this anymore. We ended up moving back to Fort Worth, Texas, where we had met in Dallas, Texas, me and my wife. And over the course of 2 years, I realized that the school districts in Texas and much of the government in Texas looked exactly like California. The problem was we had people running on the Republican ticket that shared the same values of the leftists in California because they knew they could only win with an R by their name. And so over the course of continuing to pastor, I just decided, man, forget this. I'm tired of people prostituting the church for a vote and then losing their values when they get into office. I ended up running for the Texas state legislature in 2023 and won by the largest margin out of any race in the runoffs in the state of Texas. And so it's been crazy. And so, man, we just jumped in. We were like, let's just bring our conservative Christian values back into government. Since our nation was founded as a Christian country, it's not even an argument. And I just believe we need more people to step up and do that. So
yeah, that's an amazing story. And you really do see like there's this change going on, like cultural change in our country, going back to those Christian conservative values. So it's nice to see people like that actually get into office and overcome the election fraud system. But let's talk about what's been going on down there lately, because there's been this awkward, maybe not even awkward is the right word, the situation down in Texas over the redistricting. And we've been kind of loosely covering it from a distance, but the Democrats are acting a fool down there. Do you want to give some inside baseball on what's been going on?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So when we came, so long story short, this special session, the first reason it was actually called was because we had the flooding in Kerr County that was, I mean, just devastating to the hill country in Texas. So, you know, we've got all these children that were swept away from a campground and tragically lost their lives. I mean, they were in the gallery in the Texas House yesterday, and we got to meet them and talk to them. And ultimately, this special session was called because we needed disaster relief and we needed it quick. One of the things that Governor DeSantis has done so well in Florida is he handles these disasters really well. And so Governor Abbott, I mean, jumped in immediately and was like, hey, let's get this thing done. We call in for disaster relief. Well, in the process, what we realize is Democrats have been rigging elections for years. I mean, and not only have they been rigging elections, they don't actually represent within their congressional delegation the body. So, for example, in California, 45% of people voted for President Trump in the last election cycle, yet only 15% of their congressional delegation is Republican. Look at Massachusetts. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people voted for President Trump, 0 Republicans in their congressional delegation. And so we realized, wait a second, they've been rigging maps for decades. And so now all we did was say, man, we need to update our congressional map to look like the people of Texas and to actually match who voted for President Trump and what that looks like. And so we simply just said, hey, we're going to take 5 new seats and make them Republican, which is totally legal and is completely within our constitutional rights. So when we did that in Texas, we have in the Constitution, one of the only states that says, hey, you can break quorum and you can walk away. You have to have a 2/3 quorum just to conduct business. So when they left, we have in our House rules that, you know, $500 fines, it's just not enough. And so I signed an arrest warrant for every one of our Democrats that were holding back flood relief and holding back everything that we've got going on. And so DPS went out, 150 agents went out. The problem is Texas Department of Public Safety cannot cross state lines. And as you can imagine, John, New York wasn't exactly willing to help us out on the law enforcement front. Illinois, Chicago wasn't exactly willing to help us out. I mean, they can't even get control of their illegal alien situation. They're not going to go after some state reps that fled Texas. So when we looked at this, we just simply said, okay, Democrats are willing to abandon those that need flood relief just to maintain some semblance of power, all the while calling us racist. The funniest part, though, John, is that like the new districts that were created are more heavily Hispanic districts, but Hispanic people in Texas are voting Republican. So not only are they even heavier Hispanic districts that we created, but they're also right-leaning districts that we created. And so all that said, they finally came back after breaking quorum, spending millions of taxpayer dollars, of which they will have to pay those fines back for. And our Attorney General, Kim Paxton, jumped in and said, hey, we're going to vacate your seats if you don't come back. They caved. They came back, and we passed President Trump's big, beautiful map. But here's the thing. The reason that's so important is if we don't pass that map, the Democrats have already given the playbook. If the midterms don't go our way and that we lose the U.S. House, we know they're going to attempt to impeach our president, and that we know that they're going to do whatever it takes to stop the America First agenda. So I'm proud that we got it done. I'm not satisfied, though. I think California is going to attempt to remove all Republican seats, which is insane to me. It's insane, silencing 45% of their population. And so we might have to come right back and add more if we need to.
That's crazy, man. So is there going to actually be any punishment for these people? I mean, I know you said they're going to pay the fines, but a lot of these people are probably going to fundraise for it. I think I saw Abbott or somebody say that that's illegal to do that. That's a crime, but you know, these people aren't going to pay it themselves. And I feel like there should be some accountability for actions like this.
So I have told the speaker that if he wants to earn our vote in the next session, we need to see a pound of flesh taken from the Democrats for what they cost Texas taxpayers, what they cost the Texas Hill Country. And so here's a few things we could attack. And so we've got plenty of time to do it. This needs to be done now that the map is done, now that flood relief is done. So the first thing is we've got to go after their seniority. Seniority is something that we can easily take away constitutionally. And what that does is many people think, oh, Nate, you're just taking away their parking spots and their office space and their large offices. No. Seniority manages what committees they get to be a part of in the future. And so if we want to dominate appropriations, if we want to dominate public education, get woke indoctrination out of public schools, if we want to dominate on state affairs and all the big issues, then let's remove seniority so that Republicans get put to the front of the line in the future. The second thing is our House rules package says that Democrats must be vice chairs, and it gives them an increased budget because Republicans can only be chairs, but then it raises the power of a vice chair to be able to compel legislation. We're giving them way too much power. This is what red states all over the country are doing. They're just saying we're doing good things, and then we fall short of actually doing the work of the people. And so we've got to remove vice chairmanships for good. So there's two categories here. We need to punish for what did happen. That has to do with fines, removing of our vice chairmanships, removing of seniority. And ultimately, I believe the General Investigation Committee needs to start pursuing an investigation on was bribery committed, because if bribery was committed, for example, if Governor Pritzker did actually say, hey, if you'll walk this vote, I'll give you my private jet to come to Chicago, which we know that actually happened, then they will not just be removed from office. In Texas, the one law that you cannot break and run for office in the future is bribery. And so it will remove them from office for good. So that's the first one. The second thing is we got to change the rules in going forward that this stuff happens automatically. And so one of the battles we're going to face this next week is the punishment of what took place. The other battle that we're going to face next week is going to be, how do we fix this in the future to make it so painful this never happens again?
Yeah. So I have two questions based on what you just said there. Number one is you mentioned, you went to the speaker or going to go to the speaker. The speaker, Dustin Burrows, I'm pretty sure, wasn't he like a unanimous pick by the Democrats? He's kind of one of those uniparty guys, works with them a lot on all their bills. So that's like part one. I forgot part two. So maybe I'll let you answer that and I'll come back with part two.
So I did not vote for Speaker Burrows when he came in. I did not vote for the previous speaker. I was one of three that held out and made it on my first day. In fact, my first day of being a state representative, I figured, hey, you know what? I'm young. I might as well just go full fledged. And ultimately, my kids were on the floor when I was getting sworn in. And man, I just felt the conviction of the Lord. Like, are you really going to let a uniparty establishment shill run the state of Texas? And so my first act as a state rep was to go make a speech directly against the acting Republican sitting speaker of the Texas House. So that kind of set a tone for me to be in this lane. And so going into this last session, we went from 3 of us who stood against House leadership to 54 of us who stood against House leadership. And so we really rallied the troops. When we won the Republican caucus vote, which takes place before the actual floor vote, our Republican caucus rules say you're not allowed to get support from the Democrats before you get support of the majority of your Republican caucus. The speaker that we currently have went across the building and got all the Democrat support, sold us out, and then came in and said, hey, I've already got the votes, and took a few Republicans to betray us and jumped in. Now, what I will say about that is Since then, when we lost that battle on the floor, he's been willing to work with us on a ton of different bills, such as passing the Parental Bill of Rights, such as passing different border legislation, banning China from owning Texas land. You name it, this session, we've actually gotten a ton done. And so I believe he's leaps and bounds better than the guy before. But that said, the track record of partnering with Democrats requires heightened level of accountability. And we need strong conservatives that are constantly willing to go to his office and say, either you do X, Y, and Z, or we will do X, Y, and Z. And so this has been a really great session and special session where he's allowed us to have that voice. So we're negotiating with him. We're telling him what must happen if he wants to earn the support of the future. President Donald J. Trump endorsed him for re-election of speaker yesterday, and because of passing the One Big Beautiful Map. But here's what I would say. I love our president. I'm proud to be endorsed by our president. I will tell you, Speaker Burrows still needs to earn the respect of the Republicans, more so on the conservative side of the caucus, by bringing the hammer down on these Democrats so that we're not disrespecting Texans by not allowing any consequences to happen.
Yeah, speaking of Trump, he's been making a push to fix our elections, and he said he's going to lead the charge. On paper, I think there's only so much that he can do. He can only take it so far, and it's up to the states at the local level to, implement some sort of change. And I'm curious what you think is, or like, you guys are going to do to fix our elections. I personally believe our elections anywhere that use machines, if we're not using same day in-person, valid ID and voting that way, paper ballots, our elections are fraudulent. We can't trust our election outcome. Even when the guys we want win, we can't trust it. And so I'm curious what Texas is doing to fix the election system down there.
Well, the first thing we're doing is on this special session call, the session before I came in, we took away the attorney general's power to prosecute election fraud. So as you can imagine, we have a bulldog in the AG's office right now challenging Rhino John Cornyn, Attorney General Ken Paxton. And so we've got the best of the best as it relates to our attorney general. And so our attorney general, as you can imagine, after 2020 took place, is going after election fraud until we as the legislature, again, session before I came in, took the ability for him to prosecute this. And so on the special session call that we must get done is restoring his ability to prosecute election fraud. Part of it right now is that bad actors know they're not going to get prosecuted. Yeah. They know that no one's coming after him. The second thing is, you're absolutely right. I think we need paper ballots. I think we need to make Election Day a federal holiday that quite literally is one day. Here we are. I do believe exceptions for our military, active duty, who are out of the country. I understand that they need to be able to vote. But there are those small exceptions. But look, it's not even debatable the amount of election fraud we had through mail-in ballots. It's not even debatable that the machines were screwed up and that we've seen unbelievable amounts of election fraud. I mean, for God's sakes, we got video of people harvesting ballots in Pennsylvania all over the place. We have video from Tarrant County, Texas, where people are claiming that they quite literally were harvesting ballots. And so this is a huge issue. I think we've passed some pretty big measures in the last session to help on the election integrity side. But I think it also comes down to, look, we need strong leaders on the local level. We need election judges at every single polling location and shouting and screaming when they see something off. And I think when we have that, we'll have attorney generals that can step up like Ken Paxton and can start prosecuting that and making sure that our elections are secure.
Awesome. I love that. One more question I got for you, and I asked this to most of my guests that are in any form of government, and I know it's not an easy question to answer, but seeing like how bad our government as a whole has been, especially the federal government, varies state by state. But the federal government, we see all this corruption, we see the weaponized intelligence community, we see this money just flowing overseas, and we see a government that's not really been working for us. And I'm curious your thoughts on why you think we should be paying taxes as American citizens.
Yeah, that's great. Well, number one, some of the taxes you're paying are absolutely against the founding fathers' original intent for America. So, I mean, we look at, the Boston Tea Party, like they'd be rolling over in their graves if they saw the amount of taxes that we're paying right now. And so there's a few different segments to that. I'll speak to the state level and then we can talk federal. On the state level, I believe that property taxes are unconstitutional completely. Amen. I think we need to look at it and put us on a path to elimination. No more property tax relief packages without a path to elimination. And ironically, that's like a controversial thing to say in the Texas legislature.
Shouldn't be.
Everyone's like, hey, we've got, look, property taxes fund our police, they fund our fire. And I'm like, there's so many different avenues of funding police and fire. There's so many different avenues of funding public education. And so when we're looking at that, what we need to look at is our sales tax is much more constitutional than our property taxes are. And not only that, our sales tax revenue in Texas is insane. Now, I'm very proud we don't have a state income tax in Texas, and we in no way want to implement one. But when I look at what the federal government is spending our money on, that does cause me to lose respect and to lose my confidence in paying the taxes that we're paying right now. I mean, all the way down to what the Doge efforts did was beautiful, but it's a drop in the bucket for what we're spending on government. I know we've got some fiscal hawks in U.S. Congress right now that it seems like nothing will satisfy them, and people get really frustrated with them. And I'm kind of shouting from the back of like, they're the only person that's actually saying fix the problem, which is the budget. If Congress could do one thing that would change the future of America for my kids, for your kids, and for their kids, it would be getting spending under control. That's the biggest issue we have in the federal government today.
Totally agree, but they're not going to do that because the spending goes to their special interests, which come back to them, and we can't get them out of there because the election machines are fraudulently electing all these people. But Nate, you've been a great guest. That was by far the best answer to my why should we be paying taxes question that I've given, and I've asked a few like elected senators that too. So awesome. Very glad to have you on, and I think we should do this again sometime. Anytime you have an update or anything you want to talk about, you're more than welcome to join us here at Badlands.
Well, John, you're the man. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for getting the truth out. We need more media that actually tells the truth and fights for the truth. So honored to be on, and always honored to be on.
Appreciate it. Take care. We'll have you on again soon.
Awesome. See you soon.
Oh man, he was great. Seriously, that was the best answer we've had to the why should we be paying taxes question. I'll clip that out and get that posted and get that shared around. That was incredible. But yeah, we got a lot of news to get through, or headlines anyway, to get through, and let's get right to it. Speaking of Doge, there's been no update to the Doge website. No surprise there. By the way, did any of you guys see what Trump's little announcement was? Yeah, he's got great energy, good passion. I agree, Deb Rich. Let's see what else you guys say. They want to stick him in after Paxton takes Cornyn's seat. Property taxes suck. From Bravis, 1,300 square foot house on a 60 by 100 property, $14K a year. Cam Cooksey, good to see you, Cam. Nate is the first rep to not threaten us about taxes. Baby steps. Yeah, I mean, and when I ask that question, I know it puts him on the spot because an elected official answering that in the wrong way, they could probably get in trouble for that, right? But yeah, that was just so good. I'm really glad he came on as a guest. I like him. I wish we had more of that energy around the country. The Doge check you promised me. I agree. That'd be cool. John Bolton raid. We'll get to that here in a little bit. It's probably the biggest news. But yeah, if anybody has an update on what's going on with Trump and the announcement he's doing, let me know. FIFA stuff. Oh, well, Cam can update us on that. Probably nothing that crazy. The only update on the presidential website is this one: improving our nation through better design. I read through it a little bit, and it's just he's establishing an America by Design and the National Design Studio. There is established a national initiative, America by Design, to improve comprehensively the visual presentation and usability of federal services provided to the public in both digital and physical spaces, creating first-class online and offline experiences for Americans. So he's just like trying to update how we interact as American citizens with our government, whether that's virtually or in person, which I think is an interesting move. Okay, let me get through a couple of these things. I was going to ask him, I'll show you the tabs I had open. I was going to ask him about the sleeping senators, the state reps, didn't get to it. Man, they're like kind of a joke down there in Texas. Anyway, okay, big story here. Not that one, there, that one. Hold for processing, just get my tabs moved around here. FBI raids John Bolton's home in classified documents investigation. If you guys remember, back during Trump's first term, John Bolton was writing a book, and he submitted it for review, and I think it was NSA Michael Ellis, who went on to work at Rumble and now is back at the FBI, I believe, or DOJ. I can't remember. CIA. I think he's deputy director of the CIA under John Ratcliffe. He reviewed it and said, yeah, you can't do that. There's classified info in there. And the investigation into it was opened originally, and then it got shut down under Biden. Well, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino opened it back up again. FBI agents raided the home of President Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton, early Friday morning as part of a high-profile national security probe. Federal agents arrived to his home in Bethesda, Maryland at 7 a.m. in an operation authorized by FBI Director Kash Patel. According to a Trump administration official, investigators were also preparing to search Bolton's office later in the day. Patel wrote on X during the raid that no one is above the law, FBI agents on mission. The investigation centers on classified material allegedly disclosed by Bolton, with officials noting the probe began in 2020, the same year Trump's Justice Department opened a criminal inquiry into his book, The Room Where It Happened. Trump had attempted to block its publication, arguing Bolton violated a non-disclosure agreement and revealed national security secrets, but the book was released despite the objections. A senior U.S. official said the inquiry was effectively shut down under the Biden administration for political reasons. Years of investigations into Bolton's handling of classified information led to to Friday's raid, the official added. I think I have a clip here from Fox News.
National Security Advisor John Bolton. It happened at 7 a.m. this morning.
Shortly after the raid began, FBI Director Kash Patel posting on X, quote, "No one is above the law. FBI agents on a mission."
David Spunt joins us now with more on this break. Hey, David.
Hey, guys, not much we can say at this point, but information will continue to develop. As you mentioned, about 7 o'clock this morning, FBI agents raided Ambassador Bolton's home. Notable, we're being told by two government sources that they are looking for classified documents as part of a potential leak investigation. We're told that Ambassador Bolton is not in custody. He's not under arrest, but it is notable they are at his Maryland home right now. We don't know how many agents are there.
So that's the start of it, and then we have them actually leaving with boxes here.
Would have had to morning and at his office in Washington that judges, magistrate judges in Washington and Maryland would have had to sign off on this for the FBI to do this. FBI agents didn't just wake up this morning and say, let's raid John Bolton's home and his office. It's interesting, though, because while the FBI and DOJ are not commenting, I want to show you some posts this morning on social media as this raid was going down.
So, yeah, you get the idea. John Bolton getting raided. It reminds me of, oh, shoot, why can't I think of it now? Who's the guy that got raided in the morning, but all the police crew or the news crews were all there like before the raid even started. It was a totally political raid. This didn't leak. This one didn't leak. They were all there. Like the FBI all went there and there was no media except for Conway. George Conway was there taking pictures. Why can't I think of his name? I interviewed him before. Roger Stone. Thank you, bravest. Man, I am Chris Paul's been getting more forgetful, and so am I. I wonder if that's just part of aging or something. But anyway, so I love this. Like, these people did everything they could to undermine the Trump administration in his first term. Everything they did. And then the 4 years that, the 4-year stint of the devolution period in between, everything they could to undermine and delegitimize him. And John Bolton was part of that. And we talk about this Grand RICO case that is going after the intelligence community for doing this stuff. Well, what John Bolton did was really no different. Leaking classified information to write a book against the wishes of not only like the NDA you signed, but against the advice of the intelligence community, like saying, yeah, you can't do that. Did it anyway. And he did it to undermine Trump. It's no different. And what if there's communication or something out there that shows he was working with the people that are involved in the Rico Grande case? I wouldn't be surprised if that gets disclosed at some point, and maybe this is on the fringes of that Rico Grande investigation that we've been seeing. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But one thing I do want to show is this. So MSDNC has Ken Delanian on. F that guy. He's involved in the Rico Grande stuff too. He's given a little feedback from the leftist side of things. This is their perspective on it.
Trump's law enforcement apparatus appears to be responding to his desire to relitigate all of these issues where he thinks he was wronged by the intelligence community and the Justice Department and the FBI. And it's going in what a lot of people think is some very dangerous directions.
Yeah, Ken, very important points there. We appreciate that context. One more to you at the moment. Again, this is Ken Delaney on the phone near the home of John Bolton in suburban Washington, that home raided by FBI agents a short time ago. Ken, tell us the severity, if you will, if indeed what we're hearing from a source is found, if indeed classified records are discovered there. Talk to us about the severity of the potential criminal charges. Just how serious is this? Would it depend what sort of material it is? Walk us through those investigative steps.
Yeah, it's a great question, Jonathan. And of course, it runs the gamut. And this is another ironic question because we explored this issue ad infinitum, right, when Donald Trump was charged with mishandling classified documents, and legal experts said anybody else who did what he did would have already been in prison. So obviously, if you intentionally take classified documents from their secure spaces and you take them to your home or somewhere else, and you do that knowingly, that's a felony, and that carries serious prison time. And many, many people over the years have gone to prison for doing that. And the reasons often are not about that they wanted to turn it over to a foreign government, but people just, for reasons that are almost inexplicable at times, take classified documents home. In fact, there was a man who worked at the NSA who hoarded classified documents for years in his house. And it was never really clear why he did that. And eventually the FBI conducted a search, very much like the one they're doing today, and they found all this stuff and they charged him with serious crimes. But there are also many examples of where people inadvertently took classified information and took it to the wrong place, put it in their briefcase. And in those cases, often they are not charged. And a great example of that would be the Joe Biden case, where classified documents were found.
I'm not going to play the rest of it out. It is interesting, though, to see the media and everybody kind of get exposed to a classified document scandal again, much like we had with Joe Biden and Trump back in like 2023. Like we've lived through this story before, except on a much more publicized, way. But it's interesting that they're exposing us to this again, and they're using John Bolton to do it. You know what I mean? Like, because it's true. Like when we had the Joe Biden situation and the Trump situation, you compare and contrast the two, and now one was persecuted and one was kind of like, yeah, we're not going to charge him because he's clearly got Alzheimer's and is retarded. It just two completely different situations. And yet here with John Bolton, this guy who was told not to put the stuff in the book, took it home anyway, did it anyway. They're not allowing it to go quietly. You know what I mean? I think this is interesting. And I think this is, what am I trying to say? I think there's something more here than the surface level interpretation of like, oh, Trump is just, the FBI is going after John Bolton for classified information. This seems like it has deeper meaning almost. And I'm not sure why. Maybe that's just me overthinking it and overreading it, but it's just weird. It's funny. I love the reruns. And, sometimes when we get a rerun, it's not an exact or perfect rerun of a story or a narrative. Sometimes it's to a lesser degree. Sometimes it's to a greater degree. This seems like a rerun of the 2023 classified doc stuff to a lesser degree. The mustache. This guy doesn't deserve to have a mustache. I hope part of his punishment is that they shave it off. He doesn't deserve it. Anyway, let's go a little bit more into the Rico Ground stuff. Something new from Just the News yesterday, and something I found I think is very interesting. Exclusive. Prosecutors secured evidence Comey authorized classified leaks, but declined charges. Declassified bombshell FBI memo undercuts Comey's testimony to Congress and opens door to new conspiracy probe. So this is from John Solomon. Federal prosecutors gathered evidence from James Comey's top lieutenants that he authorized the leak of classified information to reporters just before the 2016 election, but declined to bring criminal charges, according to recently declassified memos that call into question the former FBI director's testimony to Congress. The bombshell revelations involving ex-FBI General Counsel James Baker and ex-Comey Chief of Staff James Redistricting were memorialized in documents that FBI Director Kash Patel discovered earlier this year, but the passages were originally redacted by the Justice Department in versions sent to Congress earlier this month. Now, why were they redacted originally? It took Pam Bondi coming in and intervening to eliminate those redactions and gave the new ones to this week to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees. But why were they redacted in the first place? It makes no sense. The memos detail evidence and interviews gathered by U.S. Postal Inspection Service agents And I thought it was weird at my first reading as to why the U.S. Postal Inspection Service was the ones doing the investigation. And I'll explain it to you in a little bit. Concerning classified information leaked to the New York Times in October of 2016, ahead of the November election in which Republican Donald Trump defeated Democrat Hillary Clinton. The USPIS investigation also revealed Baker disclosed United States government classified information to the New York Times under the belief he was ultimately instructed and authorized to do so by then FBI Director James Comey. One summary memo reads, for example, during interviews, Baker indicated FBI Chief of Staff James Rubicki instructed him to disclose the information to the New York Times. Baker understood Rubicki was conveying this instruction and authorization from Comey. Okay. Now, if we go look at the actual source material here, I'll explain to you what I found to be like super interesting about this. The criminal referral came in. Is that too far zoomed in? I don't think so. It came in October of the leak happened in October 2016. The criminal referral came in later. So typically, these types of investigations are done by the DOJ's National Security Division. However, one of the subjects of the investigation was then FBI General Counsel James Baker, who had previously worked in the National Security Division. To avoid a potential conflict of interest or an appearance thereof, the ADIG assigned the investigation to USA Durham and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service instead of the NSD and CD. So John Durham, yes, that same John Durham was assigned this investigation over the leak of classified material to the New York Times, which we now find out that James Baker did because he thought that James Comey was authorizing and instructing him to do so through Rubicki. Wild. Okay. On December 11th, 2018, Durham and the USPIS completed their investigation and provided a memorandum with conclusions and recommendations to Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. This is before Barr. This was the interim period between Sessions and Whitaker. Sessions and Barr. Whitaker was the acting there for a little bit. The USA Durham memorandum is classified, redacted, and is maintained in a 1A package. See redacted. Portions of the USA Durham memo at the redacted classification are provided as follows. The October 2016 New York Times article indicated there were two United States government sources for the article. The USPIS investigation revealed Baker to be one of the two sources. However, the investigation also revealed Baker disclosed United States government classified information to the New York Times under the belief he was ultimately instructed and authorized to do so by then FBI Director James Comey. For example, during interviews, Baker indicated FBI Chief of Staff James Rubicki instructed him, Baker, to disclose the information to the New York Times, and Baker understood Rubicki was conveying this instruction and authorization from Comey. Additional details are classified, blah, 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 blah. Let me get down to this part. Based on the evidence, which includes interviews, access, emails, phone records, and redacted, potentially applicable law and criminal statutes, and the USA Principles of Federal Prosecution, the USA Durham memo recommended no prosecution of Baker or anyone else for this leak of classified information. And then the full Durham memo is redacted. But this is what's like driving me nuts here, okay? Durham had Baker under admission that he's like, yeah, I leaked this stuff. It was Rubicki who told me to do it. And I was under the assumption or impression that like it was the instruction and authorization from Comey. Rubicki was conveying this instruction and authorization from Comey. So somebody took classified information, leaked it to the New York Times. That right there, in my opinion, should be a crime. Just that right there. Like he didn't even prosecute James Baker for the leak. And he didn't go to Rubicki, like one step above that, for ordering him to do the leak. And he didn't go even one step above that to James Comey as being the one who Baker assumed was ordering the leak. Like what was John Durham doing here? And again, we can't even look at the details of it because the Durham memo here is classified. But yeah, I just thought it was fascinating. John Durham, our John Durham, from the Durham report, the Durham investigation, the Durham special counsel, is the same John Durham who investigated this. We were severely disappointed, for the most part, in the result of what the Durham special counsel gave us in terms of accountability and justice, right? We got like a couple indictments here or there. Nobody serious, no big names, got an attorney. That's it. It's kind of a letdown. And if you guys remember, he kind of got it on the chin when he went and testified in front of Congress. Matt Gaetz gave it to him on the chin in one of the better exchanges from that thing. But I mean, it was a 5-year investigation. It was a nothing burger, right? Now you see something like this where if you have like testimony and evidence of somebody leaking classified information to the press, which is illegal, even regardless if you don't go after the Redistricting or Comey because maybe you can't prove that they ordered it or whatever, regardless of that, you have the guy who did it. And it's an illegal thing to do. And yet you recommend no prosecution. It just blows my mind. Like I've been under the assumption, or at least that I've been thinking to myself for a long time now, that the reason we didn't get what we wanted to with Durham is because of, I've given tons of excuses, and I've seen tons of excuses. Everybody has an excuse for it. Like, it's a timing thing. We got to wait. We couldn't do it there. All these things. It's like, it's part of a bigger investigation. And some of that stuff may be true. I don't even know. But then I see something like this. I'm like, this was 2018. This is 2018. And the investigation started in 2017. I think the investigation started, the criminal referral was March 22nd of 2017. So the investigation started early 2017. And you get the evidence of this and nothing comes of it. I mean, come on. It just seems a little sus, as my 5-year-old daughter would say. A little sus here, John Durham. But hey, maybe there are valid excuses, and maybe there's more information out there that we obviously haven't gotten yet as to why we don't have the memo. So I don't know. But yes, the operative word is yet. We haven't gotten justice or accountability yet. And until we do, I think it's still valid to ask questions on why we haven't gotten that yet, and why, when we had opportunities to get some form of that, it didn't happen. I think those are valid questions to ask. We can't just keep forgiving this behavior away or giving excuses to people when we don't know for sure if we're right about it being part of a grander plan or something going on. Like, a lot of us want to feel that way about John Durham. Myself too. I've read that Durham report 3 or 4 times now, and the classified appendix 3 or 4 times now. I've studied all the material in there, and lots of people have. I'm heavily invested in the work product that John Durham put forth. I would love for it to still be part of yet a bigger, grander plan or scheme. Maybe it's this Rico Graham thing. I don't know. There's separate grand juries. Maybe they're using that information. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And so it's hard to excuse away bad behavior over something that we don't know the full details of. Does that make sense? Anyway, yes, it's sussy or sussy pants. Thank you, Cece. That is what my daughter says. And my son, he's been saying, and this is something that started when he got to school this year. Wasn't saying it all summer, but now he's big on the let's go. After everything. Hey, we're making burgers for supper. Let's go. It's come on, what are we, 8, 7 years old? Yes, he is 7 years old. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna move on from this because I have 17 minutes left. Yes, that is a calm to get through the rest of this entire thing. One more thing from Just the News. Former top FBI agent, Russiagate perpetrators could face subversion or racketeering prosecution. I am totally in agreement with this, and I think a lot of people in our community are. This former FBI agent, Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam, says prosecutors may be able to build a criminal subversion or racketeering case against government officials who carried out the Russiagate scandal. I think this is a no-brainer. His talking point in this is that it kind of gets rid of the statute of limitations, which I think they're going to have to do. Might be harder to prove, but I think it's a no-brainer that this is exactly what they were doing. They were subverting the sitting president. They were subverting the election process by trying to undermine and vilify Trump. All this stuff is subversion, treason, 100%. Let's buzz through these here quick. Powell signals possible rate cut as Fed weighs inflation and jobs data. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell on Friday signaled that a rate cut could be on the table in the coming months, speaking at the Fed's annual Jackson Hole Symposium in Wyoming. Why do they do that every year? Why do they have a symposium in Jackson Hole annually? Weird. Stability of the unemployment rate seems like a waste of money. The stability of an unemployment rate and other labor market measures allows us to proceed carefully as we consider changes to our policy stance, Powell said. The central bank's next meeting is scheduled for September 16th through the 17th. I'll believe it when I see it, Jerome. Secretive X-37B military space plane is launched on Falcon 9. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center late Thursday, carrying the U.S. military secretive X-37B space plane on its 8th mission. The Boeing-built orbital test vehicle separated from the rocket shortly after the 11:50 p.m. launch, according to Space Force. Speaking of Space Force, speaking of like NASA and airplanes and awesome things, General Quast was on with the boys at SITREP last night. I haven't finished the whole interview. I've seen a couple pieces of it, and I've watched about 10 minutes of it. Gonna hopefully do that today. If not today, then Sunday when I don't have my kids. But what I did see and what I'm hearing is that interview was incredible, as all of Quast's interviews are. If you guys haven't listened to the general, he's brilliant. He's an excellent orator. His mind for this is just spot on. He comes to all of our conferences. He's always there and engaged and active and speaks and gives input. I highly encourage you to listen to that interview. The general did not disappoint. So check that out. SITREP last night's show. You can find it here on Badlands on Rumble. The DOJ demands Maine hand over unredacted voter records. The U.S. Department of Justice has intensified its push for Maine's voter registration data, demanding unredacted voter rolls in all registration applications submitted over the past 18 months. I think this is a good move. Fellows who rejected the DOJ's initial request last month told federal officials they could go jump in the Gulf of Maine, and has refused to relent. The DOJ cited the National Voter Registration Act, the Help America Vote Act, and the Civil Rights Act of 1960 to justify its demand, dismissing Maine's privacy concerns. And that fight continues. Here's an interesting one. Putin questions Zelensky's authority to sign peace deal. As I said, he was going to do a lot over the last couple of weeks in the lead up and aftermath of their meeting. But Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Thursday cast doubt on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's authority to sign a peace agreement, raising questions about the legitimacy of any deal to end the war. Basically, he's like, this guy's not legitimate. He was supposed to have an election in May of 2024. So we're worried that if we do sign a peace deal with him, it will be found invalid in the future because he isn't legitimate. And that's a valid concern from Putin, I would say. But Kyiv, the parliament of Kyiv, who also had their terms expire in May of 2024, said yeah, it's okay though. He's legit. He's legitimate. So the illegitimate parliament said that the illegitimate president is legitimate. Just so we're all clear on what happened there. A couple true social posts. Trump said Washington, D.C. is safe again. Crowds coming back. United States, the hottest country in the world. There's no other country that is even close. Make America great again. Let's see if there's anything else I missed. Some videos of him. The FIFA World Cup announcement. That's what it was. Let's listen to
the World Cup draw will set up the group stage of competition. 48 teams will play in 104 games across 16 North American cities, from Seattle to Vancouver to Atlanta to Miami. It's going to be so exciting for our country. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will be one of the largest and most complex events. This will be one of the greatest events, one of the largest. In a way, it's like Johnny said it better. It's like having many Super Bowls in a short period of time, because each one of these games essentially is a Super Bowl. Some of them are bigger than Super Bowls, actually, but they're essentially, each one of these games is like a Super Bowl. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will be the largest, most complex set of events in sports history, and the Kennedy Center will give it a phenomenal kickoff, and we'll be involved, and they'll be working over there for quite a bit of time. We have it all set that they can stay there for the big events, the big press conferences and everything else. And they'll be in a very safe capital. That'll be nice. You don't have to worry about walking down the street, Johnny, okay?
Thank you.
But you could handle yourself.
I could.
Okay. Already, FIFA is projecting 6 million loyal fans will attend the World Cup events next year, and 6 billion more are going to be watching back home. And they think the $6 billion number is going to be actually a low number. And this will drive more than $30 billion into the U.S. economy and create 185,000 American jobs in a short period of time, too. No sporting event attracts more attention, more fans, more viewers, or more revenue than the FIFA World Cup.
I gotta say, guys, I'm not trying to bash soccer or people who have played soccer or soccer fans. How is it the most watched sport in the world? Why? I just don't get the appeal. It's not fast paced enough for me. And maybe I'm just, I don't know, just a little disappointing. But let's play this video quick, because Trump having anything to do with soccer is kind of hilarious. He gets handed the trophy, and listen to this.
That's why we brought as well this, which is the winner's trophy. it is the trophy that the winner of the FIFA World Cup wins. Only the FIFA president, presidents of countries, and then those who win can touch it, because it's for winners only. And since you are a winner, of course, you can as well touch it. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It's the winner trophy. The last one who lifted that is Lionel Messi of Argentina. And here it is in the Oval Office in the White House.
Can I keep it?
For you. Well, you can. We're not giving it back.
We're not giving it back. That's serious.
It fits well.
It goes very well on the wall right over there. We'll put it right below the angels.
It fits well here.
That's beautiful. Yeah,
You can keep it until we have to give it to the next winner.
That's fine. That's a beautiful piece of gold, I will say. That's
It is a beautiful piece of gold. I'm not trying to shit on soccer players. Like, I understand that the athleticism required to play soccer is far superior to mine. Maybe not far superior. It's slightly superior to my own athleticism. Takes a lot of you have to be very skilled to play soccer at a high level, just like anything. I'm just saying, in terms of things that interest me to watch, just me personally, I'm just not a huge soccer fan, and I never have been. But on a side note, my son does like soccer, and that was not my fault, and I tried for that to not be the case. And he signed up for soccer here this fall, and the team didn't have coaches, and so the league almost like disbanded our team, and so I said I would help. So I'm actually in just a sad twist of fate going to be kind of coaching my son's soccer team when I'm available to be there. And it's just kind of depressing, but it'll be fun. Anything hanging out with my kid is fun, and I like coaching. All right, actually I do one more story. So apparently Project Veritas is just all over, apparently all the Bolsonaro and Brazilian stuff from that whistleblower they had a little while back. They put out this story: exclusive leak, Jason Miller confirms CIA support to Brazil's Bolsonaro family. Your damn father couldn't even be competent with CIA support. Leaked August 20th, text between GOP advisor Jason Miller and Bolsonaro, Eduardo. This is the guy that the whistleblower said had a small penis, just in case you were wondering who I'm talking about. Exposed CIA ties to Brazil's Bolsonaro family, panic over indictments, and desperate pleas for real Donald Trump's help. On Wednesday, Brazilian federal police recommended charges against former President Jair Bolsonaro and his son Eduardo Bolsonaro, stemming from alleged efforts to obstruct ongoing coup trial. Exclusive texts obtained by Project Veritas reveal a frantic Wednesday morning exchange between Miller and Bolsonaro, disclosing CIA involvement in aiding the Bolsonaro family. And then Jason Miller says this: this is completely false and total bullshit. No such conversation ever happened between myself and my good friend Bolsonaro. It is all fiction. The chicken shit losers at Project Veritas were put on notice, with my attorney copied, that this was completely made up, and they still wrote it. They now have a world of legal hurt coming their way. So that's interesting. I wonder if obviously going to be a lawsuit or something here. Yeah, crazy. Project Veritas, something, they went wrong at some point. Last thing I'm going to say here is this. So there's a story on Political. I'm not going to read the story. I'm just going to talk about it because it feels like everybody everywhere is almost like priming the pump for Brad's Codex 9/11 documentary. And they just came out with a story. J.D. Vance's tour in Iraq taught him his government lies. He went to Iraq shortly after 9/11. I think it was 2004, something, 2002, 2003. I don't know. But the entire Iraq war was because of 9/11. We were told, right? War on terror. It just seems like the pump is primed perfectly right now for Brad's documentary. I cannot stress enough that you guys need to watch this film if you haven't yet. This Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, is the premiere. You don't want to miss it. And following the premiere, Brad will be going on with Burning Bright on the narrative to discuss it in deeper detail. So check that out, guys. The documentary is amazing. I haven't seen one person who watched the film provide any form of negative feedback to this point. So absolutely nails it. We need to make sure it goes viral. But yeah, with that, a couple rants here. I think I saw we had LP Phillips say just a little thank you. Just a little thank you right back. Then Texcellent says, John, please reach out to Steve Toth in Texas. He's going up against Crenshaw. Would be a great guest. I will look into that. Thank you for the rant and for the information. Reberhart29, love Badlands Media. Attended my first GART, a boomer who came to the mic with you to directly connect with CanCon. Ash was saying what G Money says. Your team is on the cutting edge. 5G info war. Thank you, Riverheart, for the rant and the comments. And then Herb Lamond. I don't know how to say that, but it's now a monthly supporter. Thank you so much. We appreciate your guys' support. W True Love 2023. Will Codex 9/11 be available on Badlands after the premiere? Yes, it will be. So we're premiering it live on Badlands at 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. And then just like you would go watch a replay of any show, you would go do the same thing. That link will be able to share around with anybody. I think we're also going to stream it to YouTube as well. So anybody can check that out. But yeah, with that, guys, I'm going to probably send you over to Ghost. I think he is doing a show today. Could be wrong, but let me double check that. Yeah, Geopolitics with Ghost is happening right after this here in 4 minutes. So I'm going to send you that way. You guys have a great rest of your day. Have a good weekend. I will see you tonight on Only Lands at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, and then back again tomorrow night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the Devolution Power Hour. So we'll catch y'all later.
Extra, extra, read all about it. 2, 3. Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.